Back to our coverage of the 2013 Sydney Hobart race, brought to you by Sailing Anarchy and McConaughey Boats. I've got some Americans to talk to on some of the smaller boats. We've already gone through the 100-footers and the 90-footers and the 80-footers, and now we're down to the 50-footers and the 40-footers. Ronnie Simpson, Archambault 40, Adrian Johnson, TP52 Frantic. How was it, boys? Ronnie, your first ever Hobart, right?
Yeah, first ever Hobart. It's not the downwind trade wind run to the tropics like we have in California. This is 40 downwind, 50 upwind, all in the Bass Strait. Everything on the boat's broken, and it was an experience.
How about you guys on the Frantic? You got it a little bit earlier than Ronnie did here, but how was your race?
We had a rough time too. I think this race definitely lives up to its reputation of being pretty hardcore, and anybody who gets here in one piece is definitely doing pretty well.
You sort of look and you know when you go through the safety regulations for this race, it's easier to do a Vendée Globe than it is to do Sydney Hobart. And you start to understand why. I think when you get out there, you guys went from 40 knots downwind slide to 50 knots upwind within 8 hours. Did you tell me?
Yeah. No, it was. This is one of the most hectic races. We used every sail in the inventory, broke a lot of gear, dealt with every single point of sail and condition you can possibly deal with, and that's the thing that makes the race. Especially, I mean, Adrian is a navigator, so from a navigation perspective, but from a crew work perspective, just the different conditions, but the heavy conditions and the constant sail changes, like it's just full on the whole time, and it's just absolutely great experience. But like Adrian says, there's no, it's like if you pull in on a Transpac last place, like you're a hack.
Yeah.
But if you pull in on the Sydney Hobart, like you've dealt with some shit and you made it, and you're a champion.
You can't really do this race
champion
if you're a hack, because you're just going to get killed sooner or later, right? Now, what about navigationally? Obviously, you experienced a little bit of a different race course than somebody on a 40-footer, but still not easy at all. Where did you guys sort of make your gains and make your losses?
Well, we kind of took a flyer at the start. Most of the boats seem to go inshore, and we tried to follow the big boats outshore, get some good current, catch the East Australian current, which has like 3 or 4 knots in spots. And so we made some gains at first, seemed to do pretty well. And then I'd say in the first night and early the second day, we kind of started losing out there, and inside boats found a lot of pressure. And
did you get in some of those holes that some of these boats were sitting? There's some big boats that went 5 knots in 5 miles in 3 hours.
Yeah, we didn't have it quite that bad, but we definitely were sitting on 2-3 knots for most of the night, the first night. And that was pretty rough, and I think that's when a lot of boats got away from us.
What was the biggest breakage on the Frantic?
We broke a steering cable on one of our wheels, so we were down to one helm, which is still steerable.
Was it mostly the windward helm, or was it mostly the leeward helm?
It was mostly the windward helm.
Okay,
so that was all right. Yeah, and we ran into an ocean sunfish. I don't think we have any significant damage from that. And a garbage bag exploded in the back of the boat, which just caused a seriously bad smelling mess.
Oh no!
Add that on top to 13 crew in a confined space for 3 days, and you've got a recipe for some pretty nasty smells.
Now you guys have both done some single-handed stuff.
We have some breakages on our boat.
So what about you, Ronnie? What are sort of the biggest? What's the biggest bad? Give us a preview. I know you're going to write it up, but give us a preview of what the craziest thing that happened on this boat.
I'm going to write it up. Charging system packed it up on day one. So we had no power in our house bank. The only battery that had any charge was our starter battery. So the starter battery became the dedicated single sideband radio battery, just so we could make all of our skeds. We were blacked out everything. We were on emergency running lights the entire time. The only thing that we powered was our instruments. And to add insult to injury, we broke our spin pole. We killed our A2 and had to cut it out of the rig. We flogged our jib top to death. And then we also ran out of water. And then our water tank on the boat that had the rest of our water got contaminated.
Oh.
And then to add more insult to injury, the fucking holding tank blew up and we had shit and piss all over the boat.
Oh no.
And the great thing was I was with an amazing group of people. And after all the bad things that happened, I cannot say a bad thing about anyone on the boat. absolutely amazing group of people but we had a lot of shit go wrong.
That is pretty amazing.
Like,
I mean,
but we
not
finished,
a lot of people can say that after a race like
but we
that.
we finished in racing spirit. We pushed the whole way. We never missed a single sked on the single sideband, and we all worked really hard together to overcome those problems. And I don't know what our result is. It's probably not very good, but like we really do all feel like champions for being here because we overcame a lot of shit to be here. And
Right
cheers to One for the Road for that.
So every few years an American boat will come down to do this, but I have noticed, sort of a dozen guys, a dozen Americans down here racing, How do more American, like, is this a bucket thing? Should they come down here and should people come down here and do this, or is it just too goddamn painful?
It's pretty cool. I mean, the reception here in Hobart is really awesome. Every single boat has, 600, 700 people clapping on the dock as they come in. And the customs house is a party 24/7.
I've been there for three nights already until like 9 in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Apparently they don't close for 5 days. They don't close.
Yeah, that's.
You're gonna like it, Ronnie.
It's pretty impressive. It's just being here for this race is pretty cool, and being on one of the boats is even better. And getting through the race is just an adventure.
How did you guys end up on handicap?
We're 6th in division and 25th overall, I think. So not really the result I was hoping for.
Tough race though.
But
any
it's a tough
navigator in the
race.
fleet. I mean, when Stan Honey got in, I interviewed him, and the guy his nerves were destroyed. So it doesn't matter who you are. And of course, Adrian Cahalan ended up with no rig. So
Yeah.
Oh, she's on Wedgetail?
Yeah. So Ronnie, what's harder, a Sydney Hobart on an Archambault 40 falling apart around your head, or sailing 800 miles of no keel?
They're both very, very difficult, but all I can say is I want to do this one again.
All right. Well, hopefully they'll have you back, and maybe you'll get to go on something a little faster.
I think we might team up next year on Frantic. I don't know, but this is my new Transpac. I'll be back on Sydney Hobart.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for the interview, boys. We'll shout you a beer or three when we get up the road, and make sure you check out Sailing Anarchy later this week for a report from Ronnie that I can't wait to read.